You're in your mid-20s now and you're down in Cork.
Mid-20s. I went down to do first course in Cork again, yeah, in 99 after the RBDI. And that course was an entry thing for a job in Dublin. So I went back up to Dublin then in probably March 2000. That was good.
And how did you feel in that period?
I think looking back at it now, I kind of rushed going back. It took me about a year before I could read again, after each time, like before I could really sit down and enjoy reading. I just couldn't read, I couldn't concentrate for about maybe even longer than that. And when I was working from the course, I did okay at work, and all the rest of it, but I think looking back to now and where I was then, very different in terms of, I was still going out a lot drinking on weekends. Very social, like I never drink during the week, but I'd have a big week, big Friday and a big Saturday, and Thursday I suppose as well in Dublin. But I think I was someone, there was never, I was working in different places. I was on site at Microsoft for 2 years, and to someone who didn't know me, it looked like I was doing pretty good, but there was still there wasn't a lot of self-belief under where was I going. I was just doing enough to get by. I'd have really down moods because they would continue since I was 15, 16. So to me, that was part of who I was. I always thought this is who I am, and I didn't know any different. And I never told anyone about them really. I told a few GPs about them sometimes, but I never went into the whole scale of what it was. And when I look back now, I think, how did I even get that far? Because, what I would, I believe I should have had some kind of access to a personal trainer or like a dietitian through community services, for one thing, and counselling as well. Like to me, there was a lot of it left to me to do, and you only do it when change hurts, a lot of real change hurts you. So me and my family didn't know what to do at the time.
Did you feel kind of isolated? Was it a case that, if you had a problem, you'd just go back to a GP and...
Yeah, I remember going to the GP and they would take blood tests and they gave me a food pyramid diet, and I remember thinking, okay, well, I lost a lot of weight by then anyway, but I was thinking there was no other alternatives, so I went to the GP and they'd say, blood tests, and this is a condition you're going to have for the rest of your life, right? So if you're labelled with anything, you start to actually grow into it, no matter if you're 22 or if you're 72, it's all about the label. And like, you're told that people who are diagnosed with it are more intelligent, they're this, that and the other, and they're told of high profile people who had it, like Abraham Lincoln, Michelangelo and all this, and I'm just thinking, when I'm queuing for disability, that isn't helping me. Mm-hmm. Just the whole idea, that you're more intelligent than the average person, like it doesn't help when you're doing those things, and it was left very much up to me to find a way. I think the care in Clonmel, subsequent reports have showed it wasn't up to standard. Depends where you went to really. If you went to a private place like St. Pat's, it would be a lot better, I'd imagine. But it's fairly, it's left up to the person. And myself and my family, we didn't know. We just didn't know, and I think I'm very lucky to have got through a lot of those years, to be honest with you.
Eddie, were you in any relationships at this time?
Yeah, I was seeing someone when I was up in Dublin, and I suppose up to a certain point, that's one thing over the last number of years. Like I could always be someone who showed potential, with different partners. Like,
what do you mean potential?
Well, like you'd be so many different on like the first number of dates. You'd be projecting someone who didn't really exist, but who you felt that they wanted to exist. So there's nothing throughout it. There was nothing really solid underneath it. But it's only really in the last couple of years that I am the same person who I would project. That's the way I feel about it. But people would see potential in you, and I was always I met some really cool people who went out with who looking back on it probably met someone who was very damaged, and who brought that into their relationship. And I've had to do a lot of healing work on myself to forgive myself for some of that. I mean, it was quite tough, but relationships were never really a problem.
And did you, were you quite needy, or did you lean too much on your partner at the time?
I think looking back on it, I substituted, like they were my counsellors, if that makes sense. Some of them were anyway. It would have been, because you had the first number I was actually living with them. I spent 9 years between two different girls in Dublin from 2000 until 2009, and it made it very easy for me to kind of, where you're living, what's going on. You're with somebody who's into all of that, and I'd say in general some of the neediness came later on, but then it wouldn't be the whole story, because I could be very flippant in relationships as well. I could be very dismissive and a bit of a contradiction. I think I could suit myself a lot of the time, and I had a big ego. No matter how I felt, how I looked, and where I worked, I had a bit of an ego, and I always thought that was a good thing, but it's not a good thing, really, for the person, and it's something I've really worked on in the last, especially the last 5-6 years, in terms of, what my values are. I never did any counselling in Clonmel, so I had very poor values and made poor judgments, and just suited myself a lot of the time. With talk therapy, I got values for the first time in my life, within relationships, within what's acceptable, what's right and wrong, that kind of stuff, and I never had that before.
And were you, I won't say driven by appetites, but was, appetites for food or sex or alcohol or anything like that, was that a motivating force?
I think alcohol definitely was, I mean, I remember many times when, if it came to Saturday night and I could be staying with a partner at the time or whatever, there might be 2 bottles of drink, to have, and I go, I can't have 2 bottles, because I won't be able to forget for 2 bottles.
Okay.
That's how it works. And or else if I went out and something happened and the whole crowd didn't go out, whatever came on, and I'd be devastated.
Okay.
I mean, people live for weekends, and it's understandable, but I would be totally devastated if a weekend passed me by. This is up to probably about 6-7 years ago. I've been totally devastated. It's not because I'm getting older, it's more because I want to be ready for Monday for work. I want to go to the gym, I want to go for a run, I want to do all the things that you have to be ready for to do. You can't kind of do that, and that's what the counselling really helped me with. What did I want? What did I really want? And drink was a bit. I mean, social drinker from Friday to Sunday. I just wanted to totally forget. There was times growing up in my teens, I never did any self-harm, but I always wanted to feel what cutting felt like. But I knew it's like I knew if I ever started it, that there's no, that no good would come of it, and it would get worse and worse. And I think same thing with drinking. Like I wanted to. It's socially acceptable, and it made it easier for me to have confidence and to kind of feel a certain way. But with some of the tools I learned, like Reiki and meditation, it gives me much more confidence than I ever had from drinking.